Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Deep Six Podcast, coming to you from somewhere quite a ways from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania this week, Orlando, Florida. This is your host, Steven Spevak, as always, and I'm solo once again, but have no fear. I am joined by a very special guest, Mr. Ricky Nixx, the Defiant Giant himself. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, have no fear. The Defiant Giant is finally here. It's welcome back to Orlando, bruh.
Sure.
You know.
It's
Is it not good to be back?
It's kind of bittersweet.
Oh.
I've been very busy while I've been here.
Yeah, that's good though.
And it just makes me miss being here that much more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really hoping to be back here permanently soon enough. So,
Okay.
So yeah. But for those of you listening and who don't know already, Ricky and I were close enough to partners as we could be for about a year with Defiant Giant Radio and DG Live.
Among other DG venues.
Among many other DG topics and venues and...
What's the word I'm looking for? Endeavors.
Endeavors, yes. Yeah. But yeah, Defiant Giant is Ricky's... Brand, exactly.
Still working on the whole empire thing, but we'll stick with brand for now.
But yeah, Ricky and I... Well, let's talk about how we met, how we got working together, and all that fun stuff.
So, it was, I want to say, November 2014.
Yeah.
We were in a class together at Full Sail in the not recording arts program, but it was the show production program, which falls under the recording arts umbrella. And I don't remember the name of the class. I just remember our teacher. He was cool as shit, and he was Andrew. He actually ended up being on our show on one of my birthday tapings. Anyway, Steve and I were in class together, and we were, like, I guess, talking about, like, our goals as far as what we wanted to do in the entertainment industry and whatever. And I had said that I wanted to make, film content, either short form or feature length or otherwise, starring talent from WWE. And were we in a project together or something like that?
Yeah, I think once we were in that class, it was sometime after that. Because
we did a lot of group projects in that class. That's what Full Sail...
Yeah, I think we worked on, like, 2 or 3 together.
In that class alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
But I remember that was the first time we had officially met each other, was when we had one of those group projects. Right. And we got talking about wrestling and all that fun stuff. You invited me to come be on the podcast.
Yeah, I invited you as a guest first. That was around WrestleMania 30. Season, 2015, which it was WrestleMania 32, or 31.
31?
Yeah, because that was the one Seth Rollins won the title. And we did the live stream on YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
And I had the whole party at my place, and everybody was there.
I don't know. I'm losing my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost complete track of time with being put out of action for the last almost year and a half at this point.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, we were in class together. I brought you on as a guest for the show. It was around WrestleMania season 2015, and I just liked your ideas and the thoughts you had, like, going forward. I'm like, well, why don't I bring this guy on to help me and just help steer the ship for a little bit, because I get tired.
Did a lot of graphic work.
Yeah.
A lot of graphic work.
That was your thing. You volunteered your services, as it were, and I'm like, okay.
But yeah, we went on to do... You remember how many episodes we wound up doing together?
I
want to say it was somewhere in the 30s.
30 episodes?
Combined, like between the live stuff and...
Oh, if you're counting DG Live as well, that should be its own separate beast. I'm talking about this DG Radio. I can't say. But, the DG Live thing, we did 10 good episodes of that, and that was, like, one of the last things we did before you left town or whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, we worked together, I want to say, more than once a week on certain occasions.
Yeah.
For the better part of a year.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
And we put out a lot of quality content. We talked with Mada Abdelhamid of Tough Enough, and course, Todd Fisher of Gods and Monsters.
We did a few things with him.
We were one of the first podcasts to talk to him.
Yeah.
Because we went in there before they opened their store in Artagon when they were still under construction.
Yeah, that was like May 2015.
Yeah.
And we were there for the grand opening.
Yeah, we were there for the grand opening where we talked to Art Miles, who's been a guest on this show.
Yeah.
And we met Greg as well, who's also been a guest on this show. We met those guys, and we did their podcast. Jeez. Under Defiant Giant, you did it like at least 3 times, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, yeah.
And then you did one of their live wrestling specials.
Yes.
And I was there. I did their podcast while working with you.
Right.
I think twice.
Okay.
And then I went in there just before I went back to Pennsylvania, announced this show on that podcast. And I was there during my time here, which we are recording this as of January 16th, 2017. When you guys are hearing it, that is unbeknownst to me just yet, but the time you're hearing it is the time you're hearing it. But yeah, Ricky and I have, I don't want to say a storied past, but storied enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the short time we were in cahoots.
Yeah. So I want to say it's been roughly 8 months since the last time we were even in the same room together,
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, other than earlier this week where we did a recording and had to scrap it because of reasons. But before that, it was probably about... Well, I've been up in Pennsylvania for 7 months, so it's been a good chunk of time. Mm-hmm. So why don't we get filled in on what you've been doing over the last 6-7 months or so?
Yeah, it hasn't been a whole lot, really. Just a lot of working and just different living situations at the home front.
Like 9 to 5 working.
Yeah. For the most part. And I was in wrestling school for a little bit over the summer. And that was like one of the biggest things I was doing, since we've been apart. Probably the wrestling. So it hasn't really been a whole lot. Just things like slowed down so much. But I'm looking to come back in a major way in 2017, for better or worse. Just looking to do more video content, bring the podcast back. I have a group of friends here that's gonna help me do that. Some wrestlers here in the Orlando area, along with our mutual friend Mila.
Yes.
Who's now my roommate. So.
And who else you got?
Kaz,
with you?
Kaz?
Yeah, Kaz.
He's not working with me. He's my roommate, though.
But he's your roommate, yeah.
And then another guy, Isaac, who was always there originally, because I'm still in the same place as when you were last here.
So you're looking to bring back your podcast. I know we also filmed some video content.
Yeah, in addition to the podcast to go on the YouTube channel,
which is a downgrade from what we were doing with DG Live. Of course, it's not.
Everything is a downgrade from what we're doing with DG Live.
Of course, it's not a television studio.
It's something.
Still decent content, I believe.
Yeah.
So you haven't been doing much creatively, it doesn't sound like. Or have you?
That people that are aware of and that I'm willing to discuss.
Okay.
Because there's the other thing which of course we cannot discuss.
There's something that you're in the works with that you're under somewhat of a gag order.
Yeah,
with that.
see, that's been the whole thing. Like, I've been in the works for months, but I couldn't talk about it. But there's been other stuff that have going on. Actually, since our first go around at the show, I went to a new studio space a few towns over in Altamont Springs that I'm going to do some recording over. So that's going to be a place for me to do some projects out of there, both video and audio wise. It's like an audio studio that's just now opening up.
You know the name of it?
It doesn't have a name yet. That's how new it is.
Wow. How'd you hear about it then?
Friend of a friend. She goes to Full Sail too.
Okay.
A friend of mine that I know through Full Sail. I posted like a thing on all the boards on like Facebook, the group pages, the nerd pages and the community pages, networking pages, so on and so forth. Just someplace I could, do my podcast when I bring on higher profile guests, like the wrestlers, the John Cruzes, and the Johnny Vandals, wrestling talent here in the Orlando area. So I found a place over the weekend that I'm going to be utilizing. It's brand new, doesn't even have a name yet. They're still putting down carpet and doing all sorts of hardware work, putting up walls and stuff.
So is it going to be a situation where they just rent you a studio space, or is it going to be a place where you come in and they've got someone working with you, recording it for you? Or?
They can do that, but I'm going to have all my own stuff. So I'm going to be providing all my own. I just need a place to do it at that isn't my apartment to bring higher profile guests.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we had the luxury of Full Sail before, but we all know that got ripped out from under us.
Yeah, that's one of the changes of Full Sail that, irked me. So
I still find it really surprising that there's no space at that school for students to rent out as studio space for things of that nature.
Yeah, not for that nature. That's
like
the
there
key.
should be something where they should have one of those many empty buildings that they have, where there should be a space where they can rent out to students to hold production meetings for individual projects or get together for group projects or things of that nature.
Nope, that would make too much sense.
It really would. You're right. But you would think with how much tuition is there, something like that would be there. See,
no.
that's one of the things that kind of gets me. They're always talking about networking and quote-unquote professionalism and all that fun stuff. To not have anywhere where students can just meet on campus, or to not have an area that's just like a common area is kind of weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, they have common areas, but
nothing like
podcast worthy.
I mean, you would think they would have like a student union type area or something, but they don't really have that.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I mean, like there should be something where there's like some arcade games, a ping pong table, something along those lines.
They have the place with the arcade games.
Yeah, but they're not like real arcade games.
They're student built or whatever. Still counts, I guess.
I mean, technically.
I'm talking about
Anyway.
a place to record a podcast.
But no, yeah,
students
but
students who have shit going on for themselves can get shit done.
Yeah, that too.
But this place, once it's finished, it's gonna have a bunch of audio recording gear. There's like a live room with like drums and like you can do like live recording for bands. It's like a place for bands and whatnot. It's like an audio heaven type place. There's like 4 different studio rooms. You walk in, there's a receptionist. There's like a conference room so you can have conferences.
Yeah.
The place is huge. That's why I hit you up like Friday night to see if you wanted to come with me to check it out. But you had other stuff going on, so I went by myself. But it's huge. I got lost in there. There's like a little upstairs place. It's like for storage. It's really nice. I mean,
Nice.
It wasn't nice, but it has the potential to be nice. They're still working on it.
Did you know that there's, I don't want to call it a radio studio, but there's a studio in Fashion Square Mall?
No.
There apparently, I don't know if they run a podcast out of there or a radio program, but there's some sort of studio in the mall.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's got the ability to be rented out or not.
Yeah, I was never aware of that. You know they're bankrupt right now, right?
They filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of legal things going on with them.
Yeah, it's a crazy time over there.
It's a crazy time for malls, period, especially in Central Florida.
I guess so.
I guess if you're not the Florida Mall, it doesn't really matter.
I suppose not.
But where do we go from here? What are we talking about now?
I'm following your lead, sir.
Okay, so you're looking at getting into a studio space to start the podcast back up.
Yeah.
And you said you're looking to do more video stuff, but I know you're looking to do more, I don't want to call it guerrilla video, but
Amateur.
lower production quality.
Basic.
Not necessarily lower production quality, but not as
in-depth as
polished as what we were doing before.
Yeah.
So what kind of video content are you looking to produce?
Like reaction videos. There's a guy on YouTube I've been following for a while now named Tyrone Magnus, if you're familiar with his stuff.
I can't say that I am, unfortunately.
I am addicted to his stuff. I'm always on the lookout for, stuff, his videos. So he'll react to certain things, whether it's a movie trailer or things that are going on in WWE or late-breaking news surrounding nerd culture, teasers. And he also does, like, just basic topics of discussions. Like, people will ask him questions and he'll respond to it. And there won't always be, like, advice stuff, but it's just, like, his thoughts on things that are going down or thoughts on things that have happened and just his insight and whatnot. And it's pretty entertaining stuff, especially his reactions. So, like I said, I'm a fan of that, and I'm trying to do something, similar.
Okay.
I posted on social media not too long ago, asking people's, like, what do they want to know my thoughts on, and I got a whole bunch of responses. So now I have my schedule of things that I got to do, and I'll probably do a lot of them, later on. But people were responding to me like, what are my thoughts on, like, police culture and the violence that's going on and so on and so forth. So I'm going to do my research and just do a little few-minute song video and just my thoughts on that. One of my friends asked me, what does it mean to be an artist and what makes an artist? And I'm like, well, it's kind of abstract.
It's an interesting topic.
It's kind of vague, but I think I can, talk a little bit on my thoughts about it. Another guy asked me about, like, what do I think about the constructs of love and what it means to love somebody, and if we weren't taught to love people, would we know it? Would we feel it? Like, just,
I wish
that's
I had
kind of
people like that recommending things for us to talk about on this show.
Right.
Because we put our stuff out there and we ask for people's feedback. We ask for people to give us things they want to hear us talk about, and nobody ever gives us anything.
Oh, yeah.
The only time anybody is like super excited about what we're doing is if they've been asked to be on the show. Mm-hmm. And then they're kind of like, well, could we talk about this or maybe that? But it's like, sometimes it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
To get people to,
not for me.
Care.
You know what? It's funny because...
I mean, you've also been doing this for so long already.
I guess
so.
That too. But what I did was I just posted a general question, like a post of mine on Facebook, and I tagged people in it, but I didn't tag the people I expect to give me the answers I'm looking for, if that makes sense. I tagged random people.
Yeah. Okay.
I literally scrolled through my friends list and until it stopped, because I was on my phone, so I just hit it with my thumb. My friends list would scroll, and then it would stop on its own, and then I just pick one or two names, keep going at random. I didn't pick people who are like me.
Yeah, that's
content creators or people I thought you would think would be the ones to respond.
Yeah,
because that doesn't quite work. I picked the quote unquote people,
the normals,
the normies, the ones who are not, doing YouTube stuff or not in the entertainment field or whatever. If that makes sense.
No, I think that makes too much sense, honestly. Because to think about it, those are the people you're really trying to connect with. Is the people who aren't technically, I don't want to say in the industry. It's not technically an industry that we're in, but people who aren't like-minded.
Yeah.
So you want to get, you're trying to grab that audience that is actually consuming your content, not trying to help you build content. You know what I mean?
I tag people in it that I was in band with in high school, former teachers from high school. Not even teachers that taught me, by the way. Just, I was cool with them. They weren't my teacher per se, but they know me. They see me grow up. I went to school with their kids. It was all so random, dude.
It might be something that I try to do myself.
Yeah, like friends of friends from back home that I haven't seen in years in person, but we talk on Facebook enough,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, we try and put this stuff out there as much as possible, and just it never seems to get any bites. Yeah. So I mean,
so the thing that's cool about it now is these regular folks that have given me these ideas. Now I'm going to do these videos and responding to it. I'm going to make sure they see it, and hopefully that keeps going. You know what I mean? You mind if I go through and show you some of the ones, or tell you some of the ones?
No. If you want to tell me some of the things that you're looking to venture into for your video content, or even just your audio content, go for it.
Let's see. My friend Jordan. I only met this guy one time. It was at my friend Destiny in Los Angeles, my director friend. Yeah. I met this guy, Jordan. They graduated film school together, and I only met him once, and I met him through her graduation, being there supporting her. He said, my hatred for Suicide Squad would make a spectacular video. All right, I'm just going to do a video shitting on Suicide Squad. Our current inability to handle police violence. How do you feel about the fact that at our age we see what it's like for the world to change in front of our face? That's a good topic, so I'm just going to go on. I'm going to go on about that. Okay, this is the one. Do you think love is a human construct, or do you think it's natural? How would you know if you were born into a human construct?
That's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, a little in-depth, but I think I can
really abstract.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for stuff that you're known for doing, which is heavily entertainment-based, I would say. But I think it would be very interesting to get your thoughts and views on such abstract things.
Do you remember my friend Josh Ortega? He's a filmmaker in Texas now. Yeah. He used to do video stuff for me.
The one we did the Uber driver skit with.
Love to see some trailer reactions. Good topic. Look up past Best Picture nominees and see if they still hold up. So
why not?
Zachary. This is the guy I was telling you about. I went to high school with this guy. He graduated high school a year after me. Haven't seen this guy in 7-8 years. Discuss something we aren't seeing much of in the mainstream media nowadays, like togetherness. Discuss how much of an embarrassment this country is when they bicker over racism, helping to divide us instead of showing how we're coming together. And he also gave me a link for this movie. I think it's a feature-length film. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I'll probably watch the trailer and react to it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I will watch it and do a review. Because that's another thing I want to do. We just go to the movies, come back, and do a video reviewing it. So that's just a general idea.
Like I said, I think it'll be very interesting to see how you tackle those topics.
I posted that 3 hours ago, tagging 52 people in it, randomized once again.
Yep.
And 4 people have liked it, and only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people have responded. So 6 out of 52.
Hey, it's a
good,
start.
though.
It's getting people to care about content that you're going to produce.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your time out in LA.
Okay.
Why don't we get a history on you? You're originally from New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Actually in New Orleans or just outside of New Orleans?
Small country town 20 miles west of New Orleans, but basically New Orleans.
But basically, yeah. It's like me saying I'm from Philly when I'm from like
there is a bridge
20 minutes
in
out.
my hometown that if you go on the bridge and on a clear day, you can see this New Orleans skyline.
Okay, so yeah,
close enough, yeah.
And you went straight out of high school to LA for film school?
No, military. You forgot I was...
Oh, that's right, military. Yeah. You were in the Navy, right? So how long were you in the Navy?
About 3 years.
Okay, and you went all over the place with the Navy, didn't you?
Not all over, just one specific region of the world, and I went to like a few places. But yeah, I did that. I got honorably discharged in April 2013, and then like the next month I was in Hollywood. Well, not Hollywood. I was in Upton, California, staying with a friend until I landed on my feet. Then I moved to Long Beach where I had family, so I moved in with them. Then I started going to film school in May 2013. And then in June, I moved from Long Beach to my permanent apartment in downtown Los Angeles. I lived about a mile from the Staples Center, and I was going to film school in Hollywood, Los Angeles Film School, and it was great. I loved it a lot.
Did you work on any fun projects while you were out there?
Plenty, and you know what? A lot of it is just so hazy. I did my first short in September that year. I was not even long enough in film school to be trying to do a movie. But I did, and it was a short called Twist of Fate, like a little 6-page short script about a girl who's a nurse, and she runs into a serial killer on the streets of LA one night. And it was basically a retelling of Aesop's fable, The Wolf and the Crane.
Okay.
Where the crane saves the wolf who's choking on a bone. The crane reaches its neck into the wolf's mouth because it has a long beak, whatever, and pulls the bone out and saves the wolf's life. And I don't quite remember how the fable ends. I think the wolf ends up being a wolf and is like, oh, I can kill you now, but I'm going to spare your life because you saved mine, that sort of thing. Yeah. And that's pretty much what the script was. And, the serial killer was the wolf and the girl was the crane.
Is that on YouTube or anything?
Yeah, unfortunately. Don't watch it because it's so terrible. But it is on my YouTube channel, Defiant Giant Productions.
We're going to put a link to that in the show notes.
No, don't do it. Don't watch.
No, but I want to put that and then put something that you've done more recently.
Yeah.
Something that you're more proud of, just so people can see your progression.
Oh, well, there is a progression. That's for damn sure. Yeah, so go ahead and put a link to it if you like. But if people are out there listening, don't watch it. It's terrible. It's like 10 minutes of your life you'll never get back. As a matter of fact, I'd like to maybe remake it someday better.
Hey, yeah, why not?
Yeah, be like one of the first directors to remake their own movie.
That's something interesting to think about.
Yeah. So LA, did a lot of projects out there. I met a lot of great people out there that I still talk to every now and then. Some more so than others.
You started your podcast out there too.
Yeah,
did you not?
I started. Somebody just liked my post about the filming stuff. Maybe they'll comment. See, it's the type of person that I'm pretty sure might comment.
All right.
It's one of those people, someone I met in L.A.
Okay.
He actually worked on Twist of Fate. Son of a bitch. He did a voiceover for the movie. Now that I think about it, Bruce Gordon. I'm gonna shout that guy out. He's an actor in L.A. Look him up. He's great. But yes, I started Defiant Giant while out in L.A. I don't really remember how I got the name Defiant Giant. I think I might have made it up when I was in the Navy, to be honest with you, and just said that's going to be the thing one day.
Yeah, it's kind of like how I came up with Deep Six. It was just something that I saw or
Baron Corbin.
No, it's not a Baron Corbin reference.
# Baron Corbin.
Not a Baron Corbin reference.
Anyways, yeah, I started the podcast in July 2014. I was taking a class at LA Film School. It was originally part of the entertainment business program, but it was like what's the word? Like an elective class.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Elective. It was something I could take in lieu of another class. And I want to say it was like professional writing or business writing. I don't remember the name of the class per se, but it was in there, or it was more geared toward the entertainment business class. So I was in this class with a bunch of entertainment business majors. I'm the only film student. And I don't remember my teacher's name. I'm sure I could look it up, though. We had just like one class on like self-promotion or something like that. And the topic
kind of like building yourself,
like getting yourself
your own
out there,
personal brand.
Yeah, something like that. And she had like a bunch of ways for people to get themselves out there, and podcasting was one of them. And I'm like, oh, well, I know what a podcast was because I listened to a bunch of podcasts when I was in the Navy. So remind me to come back to that because that's a whole other story.
All right.
So podcasting, I'm like, oh, well, it's just like a recording or whatever. I think I can manage to do that. So I hit up my friend Mark Solomon, who was my original producer or audio guy when I started the podcast. He's pretty much the first Defiant Giant team member, like yourself.
All right, yeah.
Because you were my guy here, and Mark was my guy originally in LA. And I met him through another friend of a friend, you know, how that goes, working on movies and whatnot. He was an audio guy. I hit him up and be like, hey, you got a bunch of audio gear, right? He's like, yeah. Well, like, can I possibly, like, record a podcast with you? He's like, yeah, sure, just we'll set it up. So he had his own studio space in Hollywood. That was also his apartment. He did it all out of one place. And I got together with my friend Destiny Thomas, Zach Leeser, my friend Dominic Lywood, and then my brother Keenan, who was in the Air Force. He was visiting me at the time, and I'm like, well, since you're here, why don't you just do the show with me? You're my brother. It's my first show we're doing. It's a movie podcast. You introduced me to a lot of the stuff I know, and he agreed to do it. It was 4th of July, 2014, and that was the day of the first ever Defiant Giant Radio. And we went for about 2 hours or so. And the topic of the show was life after film school, because my friend Destiny had just graduated. That was about the time I met Jordan, who gave me one of the topics. My friend Zach, who was just getting ready to graduate, and my friend Dom, who was just getting ready to graduate LAFS as well. Destiny did not go to LAFS with the rest of us. She went to International Academy of Film and Television in Burbank, California. It was like a small boutique film school.
Yeah.
And she was like one of their star students there. So, we just talked and bullshitted about movies for a couple of hours, and it was really great. Nobody taught me how to do a podcast, and I just did it, hoping it would go good. I didn't, beforehand, I was kind of nervous because I had never done anything like it before at all. My friend Ralph X, he was the guy that composed the Defiant Giant theme music that I still use to this day. I told him I wanted to use a song from my Defiant Giant stuff. He's like, that one? There was like a throwaway song to him. And he's like, that one? That was just something I did years ago in New York. I'm like, bro, I like it. I have to use it. And he's like, you have my blessing. Go ahead. And that's how it all started coming together. I had my friend Tawny Johnson. She was a model going to another college somewhere in California for like graphic design. I met her on a photo shoot, actually, that my roommate George, who was a producer, he had put it together. I met her, got cool with her, found out she was a graphic design person. I showed her the design that I drew for Defiant Giant, like the original Great Gatsby looking logo that I hand drew. I showed it to her, and then she made it into what we all know today with the whole Gatsby font and everything that it was based on. So she put that together free of charge. So that's how it all came together swiftly but surely. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a website. And it was around the time Defiant Giant was born. Started doing podcasts, putting it up on the website for free. Just taking pictures from all the movie shoots that I was doing, either helping out or directing, whatever it was. Just film-related photos, putting it on my site, and that's how the website kind of blossomed from there.
And we'll link your website in the show notes, but real quick, why don't you give us the web address?
THEBIGDG.com, thebigdg.com, because defiantgiant.com was taken. So that was the next best thing for me.
And all your episodes of the audio podcast are up there?
Yeah, there are some that are exclusive to iTunes because we eventually did iTunes later. That was something I believe you helped facilitate. But for the most part, they're all up on the website. But there are some that are exclusive only to iTunes. You won't find it on the website.
We'll do our best to link as much of your content as possible.
Yeah.
But continue your story. So you were LA Film School.
Yeah.
You did all that.
Yeah.
What came after LA Film School?
So I graduated LA Film School with honors in September 2014. And then I started at Full Sail the following month. The day I graduated film school in Hollywood, I was on a train bound for New Orleans. It was a fast transition because I graduated school 1 month and then was starting at the next school on the whole other coast the next 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah, we met in November of 2014.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround.
It was a quick turnaround. Like I was apartment hunting here in Winter Park while living in Hollywood.
Wow.
I was just on the phone with people trying to get it done. I was on the phone with people at Full Sail trying to organize a whole roommate thing, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure that was fun.
It was a pain because of the time difference. I had to do stuff like early in the day.
What caught your eye about Full Sail?
It was like late 2013, maybe early 2014, that I learned that at Full Sail they had a working relationship with WWE. I had found out about NXT, and it was news to me. I don't even know how I found out about it. I think I just kind of stumbled upon it by accident. I'm like online one day and I see this stuff about NXT and WWE and Full Sail all working together, Triple H, the whole initiative and all that stuff, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, and so I'm like, I have to go to Full Sail. I have to go to Orlando for this because my whole deal was trying to be around the WWE environment.
And that's how we wound up in classes together, was because you originally started as a show production student, which I was.
And I was working on setting up the NXT shows and whatnot.
Yeah, and then you decided that you wanted to go back and
to film. Yeah, because I couldn't do the recording art stuff.
Yeah, the recording art stuff is a pain in the fucking ass.
Yep, couldn't do it. I just said I'd just go back to film. I just
you and I are both
degree.
Very visual people.
Yeah.
We're more about what you see rather than what you hear, which, for those of you who aren't creative types, especially people who deal with audio or deal with film or television or things of those natures, you don't realize how different they are and how individualized they are until you're working in them. But yeah, the recording art stuff was a real pain, but that's why you went back to film. And your end game coming to Full Sail, though, was to get a career with the WWE, or
maybe not get a career, but just be around, be in the environment and see what would happen.
You were like me.
Yeah.
You wanted to come and just kind of get your foot in the door and see if it was something you wanted to do, because you had a love for wrestling, and you couldn't put down that opportunity.
No, I couldn't pass it, but I could have stayed in LA and just gone right into like another program, but this is a good option too. Okay,
so you came to Full Sail, and then that's when we wound up meeting each other, like we already mentioned, doing all the fun stuff we did with Defiant Giant. Real quick, I want to go back to your time in LA for a minute. You mentioned Destiny. She was the one that you did the fundraiser for?
Yeah. Well, it was her fundraiser. I think I just shared it.
That's the one that you went to the theater and did the whole...
Yeah, in thing. Tampa.
Yeah.
Not Tampa, West Palm Beach.
Yeah, why don't you share her story somewhat? Because that's a very interesting thing that you were a part of.
So the official name of that whole thing was the Destiny Project. And she was trying to raise money to get into AFI. I think she got accepted based on this movie, her thesis film that she did, called My Sinner Will Not Hold, and I worked on that also as like a gaffer. So we went down to West Palm Beach because they were doing like a screening of her movie, like a miniature film festival. There was only like 3 or 4 in the movies besides from hers, but hers was like the main event. And people would buy tickets, and they had like posters of the movie.
Yeah.
Stuff as like incentive for like the donation to helping her get in. So I went down there, and I was like the MC of the fundraising event. We showed the movie, and then we did like a Skype conference with her because she was still in Hollywood, and we did like a Skype Q&A with her serving as writer director. Then our other friend Ginny, who was the producer, and we raised quite a bit of money, like several $1,000s. I don't remember how much exactly, but a nice chunk of change. And we were able to get her in. The thing that was interesting about it was the movie was kind of autobiographical because she was raised in a religious cult here in Florida.
Yeah, that's the part I wanted you to get to.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because her backstory is very interesting.
It's something. Yeah, she was born and raised into a religious cult, and she was telling us to like watch ourselves because me and my friend Steve was going down there to help me out. I was like wearing like a 3-piece suit, and I was doing my MC thing, and Destiny was like, y'all be careful out there. If some like weird people try to approach y'all, just watch yourself because they could have been like former some Wyatt family looking motherfuckers trying to start shit with you. Just watch yourself. She told us to be careful, but it was cool. So that was part of her background, and ended up going pretty well. There was a good turnout. We expected more, but it was a good turnout, and it was a nice little art house theater in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I cannot, for the life of me right now, remember the name of it, but the Playhouse in West Palm Beach. I think that was the name of the theater.
Yeah, we'll try and confirm all that information.
It was kind of like the what the Enzion is here in Florida.
All right.
It was kind of but not nearly as big. This one was much more smaller, and like the theater was probably like the size of this room.
Jeez.
Really small. One screen, probably about the size of that wall, and then like some chairs.
So really, it was just
nice.
A one-bedroom apartment with a TV in it.
A giant TV. I mean, it was a small theater, like maybe 4 or 5 rows of chairs. It wasn't even like regular theater seating, but it was. I liked it. You know, you walk in the door. There's this little reception area, like the size of this here kitchen, really small, little case where you can buy candy, a little ticket booth, and right there, and then this section right here where the stove and whatnot is. There's just like a little small 2-door little door, and then you go in, and there's like the small theater. It's not much to it, but it was great. And they showed like a bunch of movies all day. Some of the more recent ones, but like some of the Oscar-worthy, like the those kind of movies, like the serious dramas and whatnot, and then like the little stuff. But the Playhouse, that's what it was called.
So her film, is that out there for people to see?
I think it's still doing the festival circuit now. I don't, or it might be online now.
I'm sure she's got a social media presence.
For sure.
Which we'll link all of that, and if we do find the means of being able to get that film to the listeners, we will do that, because I'm sure after hearing about how it's autobiographical and religious
it got her into AFI, which is like the Harvard of film school.
Oh, yeah. You know? So, I mean, I'm sure people will be interested to see that.
I'm on the page for the movie, and I'm not seeing like a link to the finished product.
I mean, I'm sure you could probably get in touch with her and find out what the deal is with it. And if it is out there, I'm sure we'll find a way to facilitate that to the audience.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, I guess, independent film, though, I remember one of the last things that you were doing before I left was your movie Stars Collide, or you were in early production.
And I still am technically.
With that.
I still am technically.
What happened with that?
It's still a work in progress. When I started doing like, cooling down with everything else creatively, that went with it. But it's still pending, and it's still going to be happening when the time is right.
I remember that was a very fun time for us, because the casting for that was really fun.
Yeah. Especially
because we recorded all of the production meetings that you had.
Yeah.
Which will hopefully see the light of day sooner or later.
Oh, they will.
But I was really impressed with that script that you had, especially the twist you had in it. I don't want to reveal that twist. Not an M. Night Shyamalan type twist, but
because I don't like twists in movies.
No, but it was a very subtle thing.
Yeah, which
was really interesting.
It's one of those things like if you read the script carefully enough, you'd get it. But it's easy to skim over.
Do you want to give a short description of what it's hopefully going to be?
Just it's basically about a guy with a decision to make.
Wow. Could you be any more vague, though?
That's the simplest I can describe it without giving stuff away. I mean, how would you, if you remember it?
I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's basically set at a high school party or a college party? Yeah, college house party. And a guy is there with his
lady friend.
I don't want to say lady friend, because that makes it sound like they're together, which they're not, which is a whole part of
his friend who happens to be a woman. His friend.
Yeah, his friend.
Who's a girl.
Who
we have to say that because it's important.
Who he has somewhat of a thing for, but she doesn't necessarily feel the same back towards him.
Yeah.
And
you're giving stuff away, Steve.
I'm not trying to give too much away.
I don't know, keep going.
Some insanity. I don't want to necessarily call it insanity.
Situations
but
arise.
Some real life situations come up.
And homeboy has a choice to make. And then he's got a guy there who's trying to
sway him in one direction or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. What more can we say?
Yeah, there's not much more to say.
Yeah.
You'll have to hopefully wait for the finished project of Stars Collide once it eventually is finished.
Yeah.
Which should hopefully be soon.
Hopefully this year. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Scheduling was a bitch, man. That's one thing that didn't help the case. Scheduling and location. Location was even worse. Finding a place to shoot.
Well, I remember you talking about that when we were really gung-ho about it. And I remember you had, who was it, Sheena Fowler on your podcast.
Yes, that's another one of the high-profile guests that I can't bring into my house.
For those of you who don't know, she is the head of the
Orlando
Film Commission.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big guest. But I remember you were talking to her about how you go about securing locations and what permits go into it and this, that, and the other thing. And it became, I don't want to say a drawn-out process, but it was
a lengthy one.
And an expensive one, too, if I remember correctly.
Not too expensive, depending, but it certainly most can be, especially in places like L.A., where I shot a pilot of my web series out there. I forgot I did a web series. Man, I'm terrible. I did a web series pilot out there in L.A., and I was shooting at this place called Griffith Park.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't know Griffith Park?
If you don't know Griffith Park, it's a very...
You live under a fucking rock. But
So I shot there, and the permits were...
Oh, I'm sure. Because they shoot high-budget Hollywood films there. I mean,
and
I'm
I was
sure
only
you
there for
paid.
like 3 hours or something, and that would cost so much.
Give me an idea of how much it cost you.
Oh, at least $300.
For just a couple hours?
Yeah, I wanted to be there for 6, but once we found out the price, we had to like go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, let's cut this in half.
Jeez.
Yeah. Did you see the show, Film School Survivor Stories? Did you ever watch it?
I think I saw you put like a trailer for it on your YouTube page.
That was a while ago. The finished product was
I don't
on
think
our
I've
YouTube
seen the
channel.
finished product. I'll have to go look for it. Or you could send me a link to it, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, you should watch it though. I mean, just see some progression, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. It didn't come out exactly the way I envisioned in my head, but the concept was certainly there.
I want to put that short we did with Josh up there too,
Huh? Yeah,
because that was fun.
that was fun. That's not as good a quality as some of the other stuff I've
that's
done.
Not great stuff, but
it was fun.
That was really fun.
we should-
Between me, him, and Howie,
Yeah.
that was a very interesting dynamic, especially with the character that Howie wound up playing.
And you.
Yeah, me too. That's
You
a
played a
really
Trump
fun
supporter.
one. I wouldn't go that far, but close enough.
If we had to guess, like who would Steven's character would have gone for? You know.
He was probably a mansplainer too. But
Yeah.
that was very interesting. What did we
fun.
dub that? Kids in the Hall or some crap?
Kids in the Yard.
Kids in the Yard. No, because
Yeah.
Kids in the Hall is
That's an actual show.
That's the actual thing, and we were just kind of riffing on that with the title. And
for
then,
sure.
And then you put directed by some asshat talking about yourself.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, that was
we're,
great.
we're definitely gonna.
When's the
link
last time
that.
you saw that?
I think I go back and watch that like at least like once every like 3 months.
Do you really?
Because that was like one of my favorite things that we did together, just because it was so random and so.
Oh yeah, that was the day Piper died.
It was.
That's the day we shot that.
Yep.
I remember because we were like at
We kind of
Justin's house, I think, planning the shoot.
We
and I read about it online.
We also did it so quickly because we were just so like bummed out about it too.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we need to do something.
Yeah.
That was an interesting day.
Because that was the day Piper died, and there was also a Rousey fight the next night. I remember that.
What was even more fun about it, like it's not even finished. Like you never even got around to finishing it.
Yeah, because Justin moved.
Yeah.
Josh
Jesus. Moved.
Justin.
And then
I've probably been doing that.
I remember we did the whole thing where we put the GoPro on the back of one car to videotape the car driving around.
And now we have another GoPro, so maybe Josh needs to get his ass back here.
And
Howie's still
And then we
here.
used that lovely BoJack Horseman music.
Oh, yeah, we did.
You people need to see this. It's definitely going to be in the show notes.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, plug that shit, dude.
But what else?
It was so terrible.
What's the most recent creative thing that you've done that you put out there?
At the time of this probably being released is the stuff with me coming back. It was with you and me talking about the U.S. titles and whatnot.
Okay, so let's talk about prior to that. Would the last thing be the DG Live stuff, technically?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, we're going to put all of that in the show notes.
Unless there's something I'm forgetting, which I don't.
I want people to see your spectrum because you've done quite a few things.
I've had my name on some stuff, and there definitely is a progression. There's some stuff I hate, and there's stuff I'm absolutely proud of, and I'm just trying to keep going forward no matter what.
Okay, so let's come back around to wrestling school.
All right.
Why don't you tell me how that went, what you did there?
Okay.
Go for it.
All right, so it was May of 2016, May of last year. I know my roommate Tom at the time, he was going, and I had just been considering going. So it was June the next month. My 25th birthday, it was a Friday. There was a NXT show at Full Sail. That was the night Nakamura went up against Finn Balor, and Finn Balor was pretty much gone. That was his last match, and I have footage of that. I got to show you that. It was pretty cool. So the following week, Tom is off to wrestling school 1 weeknight, and I had absolutely zero things going on at the time. So I wanted to go with Tom to check out this wrestling school that had just opened up here in town called Pro Wrestling 2.0.
Yeah.
And it was ran by a guy named Alex Porteau, who in WWE was known as the Pug. He was like one of the, I guess, enhancement guys in the late 90s.
Okay.
He wasn't there very long. He was only
Fair enough.
for like a year, but he did a lot of work with WCW as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he was running the school here in town. Tom was one of his students. I went with Tom one night just to check it out. I just wanted to see the place, see what it was about, see what was going on. Went there with Tom. No other students were there. It was basically me, Tom, and the instructor. So Alex was like, Ricky, get in the ring. I'm like, I didn't come here for that. I just came here to check things out. And if you've never seen Alex, he's a big dude and kind of imposing. He's like, Ricky, get in the ring. So I got in the ring. So there I am in a wrestling ring, like a legit wrestling ring with Tom. And then I'm helping Tom train. And then he and I got to talking about it after. I was telling him about my podcast and Defiant Giant and about myself and da-da-da-da. One thing led to another. I ended up being like a little social media guy for the school and for him in exchange for some training credit, as it were. So I spent the next month at a wrestling school, Pro Wrestling 2.0, going with Tom. And he was just showing us the basics, taking bumps, running the ropes, turnbuckle work, so on and so forth. He made it a point to work on promos. That's how we ended each class. So we learned about cutting promos, and it was an excellent experience. Naturally, I started sucking at first, but, switching up my diet and so on and so forth, I got better. I ended up doing, I don't want to say a wrestler's diet, but, the diet where it's, a bunch of small meals every 2 hours throughout the day.
High-calorie stuff? Or?
Yeah, for the most part. A lot of proteins and vegetables,
Yeah.
brown rice. I pack my little meals in little containers and just have them throughout the day. Do the meal prep. It was interesting because a couple weeks into training, I was over at Broadway where I still work right here in town, and I ran into Wesley Blake from Blake and Murphy of NXT fame,
of course,
former tag team champ. He was there at the restaurant, and I told him about my training. He and I got to talking, and some of the best advice he gave me was work on my what's the word? Work on my abilities, my craft.
Yeah, your craft.
Before I focus on my character. And it's funny because I actually just saw him again this past Saturday. He came in again. Him and Steve Cutler.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they came in together. And, I was talking with those guys again. They're always cool to chat with. But I remember that's the advice he gave me. So I kind of, I don't want to say I disobeyed his advice or didn't take heed of it. I was definitely adamant about getting better in the ring, but that didn't mean I didn't have a character in mind that I wanted to, work on.
I don't think that's necessarily going against his advice, but I mean,
I had an idea and I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I just had to work on the craft to match it.
Especially coming from someone like yourself who's so into building character as a creative individual, especially as a creator of film. I don't think that that's necessarily something to be looked down on or whatever. Especially, like you said, it's not your main priority, but if you've got it in mind, why not build on it?
Yeah.
So you did the wrestling school thing. What caused you to stop wrestling school?
Well, Tom ended up moving out, and kind of, what's the word? Messed up the roommate situation, but, it was a thing we had to deal with, him moving out. So I couldn't afford it anymore. So I've just been trying to save up ever since to try and go back in.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be doing CrossFit just to try and get into better shape for when I do eventually go back in, because I wasn't in shape at all when I was doing it, because like I said, it wasn't part of my plan. I just wanted to go in and just check it out, but there was other stuff that I wanted to do beforehand. Just hit the gym and try to get back, not just in wrestling shape, but in shape in general. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things I learned was that there's a big difference between regular cardio and wrestling cardio.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't realize that initially. It's totally different ball games, because, I was doing I think it was called pancakes, where you got the other guy running the rope, and I'm on the mat doing, flipping around while he's running over me. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Among other stuff.
I don't want to say I trained, but I did attend one training session. The only reason I didn't go back was because it was a very sketchy thing.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about this, but did bumps, running the ropes, shoulder block, takedowns, that kind of thing.
Yep, hip tosses.
No, we didn't get that far.
Oh, I did.
But we did some chain wrestling stuff, but it is its own beast with the cardio, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
endurance.
Yeah, it really is. So you had a character in mind. Do you want to give us some details on this character that you're building, or do you want to save it for yourself? Or
I will save it for myself for the time being, but it was definitely something that I thought a lot about, and I'm definitely sticking to it. I think about it all the time. For when I do go back, I'm always working on it. So for the time being.
So you were talking about how you ended every class with promos.
Yeah.
Would you say that having experience with film and being around actors and being a director helps you in that aspect?
Yes.
And do you think that those promo classes help you with your hosting abilities?
I would say it's more the opposite. This helped me a lot more with the promo stuff.
So doing this has definitely helped you with being more open and more...
Yeah, being off the top of the dome with promos too, because improv is a big part of it, at least to me.
Well, I would think that if you're going in there and you don't have somebody writing something out for you, of course, improv matters.
But it's one thing for it to matter, but it's another thing to be good at it too.
Well, yeah, that's definitely, yeah. But it's something I always like to ask people who I know who have had acting experience and wrestling experience. I'm always interested to find out if they started as a wrestler and went to acting, if that helped them in any aspect, or if acting has helped them in wrestling in any aspect.
Yeah, I can only
Because
imagine.
sometimes you get some very interesting answers.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were talking with Mata,
Yeah.
he had done some acting before he started the wrestling thing.
Right.
And I don't think he said either way whether it helped him or not. He said it was kind of just neutral. But I guess that's because he started at a point in where he's basically starting in the best possible place he could start in with NXT.
Right.
And they kind of completely start you over when you get there because they want you to learn such a specific way to go with their product. So, I mean, that might be part of why he said that. But it's definitely interesting to hear people's responses to that question who have had those two experiences.
Let me ask you this right quick. It's kind of off topic.
I don't know if there's really any topic had here other than a real general one.
So Kurt Angle's like the first confirmed person from WWE going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's the headliner? Most likely?
I'm pretty sure that was the whole headline.
Yeah.
Not to make a pun, but
Yeah.
it was that he's headlining the class.
All right, so he's the guy this year. Last year it was Sting.
Was it Sting last
Was he the
year?
headliner? I think he was.
I think it was Sting last year.
And before that it was Warrior.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I think Warrior's the year before. I don't know. But yeah. That's
yeah,
good,
because
though.
Warrior died while I was up in Pennsylvania still. So Warrior was 30.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah.
So 31 was...
Had to be Savage.
Was it Savage?
I think so.
I don't know.
And then last year was Sting.
Yeah, last year was definitely Sting, and if this year it's definitely Kurt Angle. But yeah, is there... I mean, there's so much more that I could talk about, but I don't want to just keep pulling random things out right now, because I feel like we're at a good stopping point. Is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Not a whole lot to add. Just stay tuned for all the stuff I have coming, this year. I'm not done yet. You know what I mean? Stay tuned for all the videos. Podcast is coming back soon. And, just keep your eyes out. Follow us on my website, thebigdg.com. That's THEBIGDG.com. There you'll find the links to all of our social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Vimeo, so on and so forth.
And if you wind up on his Facebook page, you will see a very familiar face there still, because the cover image is still me and you on the set of DG Live.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, well, if you can't seem to find Ricky's stuff based off him just telling you, everything will be linked in the show notes, which of course you can find over on deep6podcast.com, as always, spelled out one word. In the meantime, you should go subscribe to Ricky's stuff, since he's coming back with a vengeance, as he said.
Yeah, this is the Back with a Vengeance tour that's happening right now.
He's coming back with a vengeance, so go subscribe to his stuff. While you're at it, subscribe to my stuff, or our stuff here at the Deep Six Podcast. Of course, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Podbean. You can find Ricky on iTunes and YouTube.
Absolutely.
Go subscribe because it's free. It costs you nothing.
It's free.
You get quality content from hitting that subscribe button.
It's a click of a button. It costs you nothing but a little bit of energy to spend.
So yeah, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the other social media platforms that we're on. Of course, like I said, you can find all of those over on deep6podcast.com. For Ricky Nixx, and Defiant Giant. I'm Steven Spevak for the Deep Six Podcast, and we'll see you next time.